Welcome to the Soul Body Wholeness Podcast.
Each episode is a living, breathing transmission. Together, we will explore deep, nuanced, and controversial topics of the soul. Welcome to your community of sensitive seekers and deep feelers.
Welcome back, Goldsbrand.
Hey, welcome to the show. Feeling tired and inspired today. Today's episode I recorded a couple weeks ago in a different space, and I've been in a bit of a tired portal, bit of a yin portal. I'm in a chapter of my life where I am prioritizing the needs of my health and body over any mentally perceived notions of what I'm supposed to do. And that used to be really scary. And for the most part, it feels really fucking good and liberating now. I feel more regulated than I ever have. And I'm making more money than I ever have. And so I'm really in a huge mentorship of how those two things can exist. I can attract my dream clients. I can do what I want to do creatively. I can make enough money to fuel my life, to travel. I have all kinds of opportunities coming up that I'm so excited by this summer. And yeah, I just wanted to say and mention this and share for anyone who is hijacked and confused by all of the false matrix programs that are running and telling us that we need to sacrifice our values, sacrifice our health in any way in order to create and have our dream life come at some point in the future. I just don't believe it's true. I don't believe it's true. It's a paradigm that I lived in for many years and was chronically dysregulated. So, for what that's worth, that was a long way of me saying, I've been dragging my feet at editing this episode and creating an intro, but this was maybe my favorite episode that I've recorded. I met my friend, Lua, also known as Buse. I've never called her that, and I see that's what she has in her intro. So I'm sorry, Lua, if I'm saying that wrong. But yeah, Lua's a dear friend of mine that I met in Guatemala, and we're going to go over that in the podcast. It's a really powerful story, and there's just so much magic and synchronicity and resonance in this conversation where we are soul family and are very connected in what we're here to do, in leadership, in symbolism, in underworld, in mysticism, and just the path of all of that, how it weaves in being a nomadic person, how that is such a powerful initiation into all of these themes. You know, you can stay where you live your whole life and I'm sure access all of that. But if you want the quantum leap into that world, sell your things and just don't know where you're going for a while. So I'm going to read Lua's intro here, her bio. Lua is a Turkish multidisciplinary artist working nomadically across ritual tattooing, body painting, ceremonial workshops, symbolic textiles, garments, altars, and immersive spaces. Alongside her art practice, she's also a trained Reiki practitioner, a dimension that deepens her sensitivity to energy and the subtle layers of what each person carries when they arrive at her table. Her practice moves as a bridge between the seen and the unseen, channeling talismanic designs that resonate with personal intention and invite specific qualities into the body and into the living space. As a threshold keeper, an intuitive translator of symbols, she approaches art as devotion, a way to stay in harmony with the natural rhythms of life and the deeper patterns that move through all things. Through both objects and experiences, her work offers grounded yet transformative ways for people to mark transitions, reconnect with themselves, and remember the ancient language of images that speaks beyond the analytical mind. So accurate. All right, you folks. I hope you enjoy the episode. And here it is. Welcome to the show, Lua. After our initiation of technology, as is often one of my greatest teachers. I'm so happy to have you here. How are you feeling today, besides all of that?
I'm feeling great, very centered, and yeah, excited for the conversation. It's also kind of springtime here, and it's been very grim for the last couple of days, and today is the day that sun is shining again, so I feel great.
It's
It helps.
symbolic of this moment,
Yes.
for sure. And for the listeners, where are you located in the world right now?
Right now I'm in Istanbul in Turkey, my hometown.
Oh, okay. So you're from Istanbul. I didn't know you were from the capital.
Yeah. It's not the capital, but it is the biggest. It's a common mistake. Don't worry.
I'm
It
really
was
turning
it
into
was the
my
capital.
it was the capital. I'm really turning into my father. It's something that drove me nuts as a kid that he would just say things without asking if like he would just be very confident in things that he didn't know, or he would say them confidently instead of like asking. And I just find myself doing that more and
Yeah, we're all turning into our parents, aren't we?
more.
It happens.
It happens no matter how hard you try, and the more you just accept it, I think the less it actually happens in some ways. But anyway, happy to be here with you. We sort of have a structure for this conversation today. We're going to talk a little bit about how you and I met, and that's going to sort of birth this journey of storytelling and you being able to share, some of your soul gifts, some of your craft that um, you're so gifted in. You have a really beautiful artistic Instagram. You're a really beautiful artistic human and soul. You have a lot of gifts, and I feel like I've only sampled some of them. So I'm really excited by this conversation to be able to deep dive them and sort of see where they were birthed from, some of your story. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So the year was 2024. Right?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, we met going into the new year of 2025 in
exactly.
and around Lake Atitlan in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Um, a phenomenal dance festival was occurring called Embodiment Dance Festival. And I'm not sure if you and I met there or we met at a contact improv class jam thing. It was one of
I think
those
we did.
situations.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
did before, had the dance, and then during the
Yeah.
festival we properly met.
Yeah. It was a proper meeting. And so, as I recall, my shirt was off and you approached me and asked about this tattoo on my back. And so
Mhm.
that sort of birthed our really fascinating connection where Yeah, I feel like I can actually just share the story of that tattoo, share what I shared with you so I don't ruin the surprise and how all of this came into beautiful synchronicity. So backing up again, um, gosh, I don't know, a year or two, I was in India. I was in Goa,
Mm.
and I've been traveling for about maybe 8 or 9 months. And I was, as I've talked about on this podcast before and in other circles, I was going through a really deep threshold period where there was just a lot of grief and struggle with my travels and a lot of unknown and confusion and like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, why did I make this decision to walk away from everything? And it was through an online purpose discovery program, which I feel kind of funny about, but it ended up being the most powerful, potent experience I ever went through. Um, and a lot of it was me on my own in nature doing rituals and practices to connect with my soul and to understand my purpose, my giveaway, my gifts. And I was a couple months into that journey and things just started opening. I was having one of the most massive, I'll call it a soul awakening that I'd ever had in my life. And I felt this calling to make it really ceremonious and I mean in so many ways. And one of those ways I was thinking of was a tattoo. I was like, okay, I didn't have a lot of tattoos. I had one really symbolic tattoo that I had gotten before I traveled. And right as around the time I was thinking about doing that in this WhatsApp group for the Goa, India area, one of the first messages I saw was this woman who was providing ceremonial tattoos and like just full on ceremonies, like sigils, like manifesting what you're calling in. And I was like, that's very interesting. So I reached out to her. I left her an unusually long voice message. Even for me, I tend to leave really long voice messages, but this one was like a lot for somebody I hadn't met yet. And I really went into the depths of what I was experiencing and what I was calling in and explaining my mythology or my personal understanding of a lot of these themes of underworld, middle world, soul initiation. Like there was a very structured way that I was learning about all of these concepts. And no one in India had any idea what the fuck I was talking about. Like it was, India is all about like yoga, very upper world, connecting with those deities. So that's where most of the humans were at psychologically and spiritually that I was talking to. So I was talking about this online program that I was doing that was very Western nature, Native American, indigenous, Sufism, Greek mythology. It was combining a lot of these elements that really no one I talked to had any idea what I was talking about. And so I leave this voice message talking about a lot of these themes. And this woman responds to me and says, wow, thank you so much for sharing. So much of your story really resonates with my understanding of soul. And so this was just a woman from France. She's not from America or anything like that. And she's like, the stuff that you're speaking to really reminds me of this book I'm reading called Journey of Soul Initiation by Bill Plotkin. Have you ever heard of it? And so I send her a picture of the book that I'm reading for this program, Journey of Soul Initiation by Bill Plotkin. And I think we were like in the same chapter. It was really like, holy shit, this little woman from France that I just met on the internet or met on WhatsApp in Goa, India, when no one else has any idea what I'm talking about. She's fully understanding what I'm talking about, the depths and all the layers and the nuance of this flavor of soul work. So I immediately knew, okay, I'm supposed to work with her. And so I get the tattoo. It was a great story. It was a great journey. We worked back and forth to kind of birth it into existence. And this tattoo, fast forwarding, has become, at least a section of it has become my logo, my brand. It's like that. I didn't realize it at the time, of course, but this is like such a sigil of soul body wholeness. And maybe at some point I'll get up and show on screen the tattoo for the YouTube channel. Um, but yeah, so I basically told you probably a little bit more of a distilled version of that story. And um, would you like to take the microphone and share how you remember it? Because I have a version, but I'm curious, in that moment, what do you remember?
Yeah, I remember being very fascinated about like you, as a tattoo artist, I'm very selective, and I can see when a work is done in a not only like a aesthetically pleasing way, like in a talented way, but also in a soulful way. So that's why I think I was drawn to it and asked about it. And yeah, you didn't give me so much about the detail of it, but it was very interesting that like you wanted to mark, to hear that you wanted to really like find someone to mark this moment of all the like collection of the teachings and insights you gained from this soul purpose discovery journey. And I think that's how I got interested in joining eventually to the upcoming um, journey.
Right. The timing of it was that, that program I went through, I was going to train to become a guide in it. And
Yeah,
we were starting a cohort of guiding other people through the journey that I went through. And so you were super interested in that. And that's what eventually got you to join in the cohort that I was co-facilitating, which was really cool.
exactly. And this was the second time that I was in Guatemala in the lake Atitlan. Um, after I think 3 years. And I still kept on being in a very nomadic traveler journey after that moment. And so I did decide to join the program, even though I had no idea where I would be, if I would be able to join and all that. But I was like, you know what? It sounds like it can help me throughout all the unknown, actually, to have a container to be held. And it sounds like it's a matching inquiry that I'm constantly going through in my life, the purpose and like what that means and how I can, go deeper into that question. And so I decided to join. And only after, um, I think where we had to create a soul circle for ourselves that would kind of witness our transitions and journey.
Yeah. As part of the program, each journeyer has the responsibility of creating a soul circle of humans outside of the program, and that they get to be witnessed for 90 minutes in Zoom sessions or in person if you set that up. But essentially, you're working through different themes and you're witnessed very indigenous style of like you going through a process. So yeah, continue. I just wanted to make sure that was
Thank you.
yeah.
So when I was building that circle, I reached out to first people that I had in my mind, the obvious ones, but also some that I thought like, okay, there's no way that this person can join because they're on the other side of the world. But one of them was my dear friend Elisa from the time that I spent in like I met her in Koh Phangan during pandemic, and we spent the whole pandemic basically together. And since then, like she's one of the only person that I could keep in contact with in such a um like beautiful way, because it's not easy as nomadic, people, when we travel across the globe and we don't get to see each other for so long. It's hard to keep the connection alive. And I reached out to her and I also sent her a voice message and I explained what I'm going through, what I'm like getting into. And so she replied to me saying that, "Oh wow, it's amazing. I would obviously love to, be part of your circle and witness like as much as I can, if we can align the timing of the video calls and everything, and all the things that you mentioned about like the soul journey initiation, as you describe, reminds me of this book of Bill Plotkin." and and also this guy that I tattooed like years ago, there was an American guy who reached out to me and he was also going through this journey, and I tattooed him when he like finished the journey, and I was like, what? What? I just like rushed to her Instagram account and I looked back and I found your back piece and I was like, whoa, this is okay. This is aligned. This is why I'm here. And
Hmm.
yeah, this is the work that we all, you know, are supposed to be going through in a way that connects us invisibly.
Yeah. I I of course knew the punchline, and I still feel all of these like tingles in my body.
Wow, it
Because of
was
course you
incredible.
told me right away, like, dude, this is Elisa. Like,
And then I
yeah,
like made the puzzle pieces like, oh my God, he was talking about this, yeah, like little French woman. I'm like, it's Elisa. It's like my best friend from the island. And she's another amazing tattoo artist who is one of the like rare person that I know who does tattooing in a ceremonial way. So you were
yeah,
very lucky also to come across her. And
I
yeah.
know. She also, like, she didn't use an iPad. She hand drew everything. So we would meet, and then I would tell her the ideas and stuff. And so she would have to sketch it and then come back, and I'd have to be like, not quite. And then we have to wait a whole nother day. And
Yeah.
literally, like, I gave her the last edits of what I thought would be. And I forget if I had to leave or she had to leave, but one of us, it was like, okay, if I don't like it this time, then it's not going to be, because we don't have time.
Mhm.
And so we scheduled the tattoo, and then I saw it and I was like, that's it.
That's
Nailed
it.
it.
Amazing.
So this
Wow.
is what is possible, and that we experience, more often than most, being nomadic people, trusting the universe, releasing control, releasing our mind, just like being in more flow. Of course, people talk about this all the time, but the stories are just so miraculous and powerful. It's like I've had many iterations of stories like this. But this one's a fucking good one. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, so good. Okay, so that's a great way to set the stage. I didn't realize we were going to share the story in that way, and I think it was absolutely perfect. Again, sort of surrendering any control of how I wanted to share that story, and it was better than anything I could have come up with. So that was my story, and rather than going through the story of working with me and the program and the purpose discovery, I want to maybe back up and hear a little bit about your time in Koh Phangan.
Hmm. Yeah. So, wow. Yeah, that was definitely an incredible threshold for me. As before Koh Phangan, I was living in Dublin for 5 years. I did my master's in painting and I was already tattooing. And once I graduated from the master's, I also started doing a lot of murals, wall paintings. And I was in a very fast-paced lifestyle. And I feel I learned how to work when I was in Dublin, like properly in a very disciplined way. And when I landed to Koh Phangan and just dropped into this reality of having to slow down and even like stopping as everything else also stopped. And I chose to also be stuck, be there during that whole period. I realized I learned why I work in the way that I create, because it's it made me realize I was driven from an output of creation before, and I just had to like sit with the question of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and like what does it all mean? Where am I supposed to be going? Like, am I really supposed to be an artist? Even like the questions as deep as, identity, in a way that like I built around during my whole upbringing and creative journey so far. And yeah, it was a time where I had to then really like stop and be patient enough to listen deeply for what wants to come true, instead of like wanting to create something from someone else's, let's say, commission desires, and like truly surrendering to the life force that wants to manifest something through me. And it was like it wasn't an easy period to not be productive, because I was so, programmed to be productive and be like, attaching in a way my value for like with productivity. And alongside all the ways that I had to reconstruct my belief systems about my identity and everything about like productivity, I also realized I like really enjoyed actually like the way that I can live in a slower pace and connect with the intelligence that lives through nature, that lives through the rhythms and the patterns. And so that's where I started to also get trained for Reiki, because I had my own reasons to do it. But then I realized like, oh, I could actually bring this into my tattoo practice as well, where it can bring a bit more of this space to help people to be held in a way that they never been, maybe, and like help people to realize the importance of this moment of marking their intentions, that it can be beyond just like putting something beautiful or decorative into their body. Because I think unconsciously we're always marking something when we're choosing to have a tattoo, but we don't go all the time through the right way of finding the right artist or finding the right design or moment, body placement and everything. And so yeah, like through complete surrendering to that deeper listening, I was able to then understand and remember like, okay, this is actually something deeper. This is very important, even shamanic way to mark a threshold for someone that is going through a big shift in their life, or they want to remember someone or something that is important for them, or like a part of themselves.
Yeah. I'll jump in there and just want to express, gratitude for the share. There's a lot of juicy content within it. One being, I think what you experienced is what so many of us are experiencing on the spiritual path of inquiry, which is this coming to this realization that we've been stuck in an overly masculinized way of being because our culture has been overly masculinized for so long, and associating and identifying our value with productivity and not valuing spaciousness, stillness, connecting with nature, beingness, going into the dark, going into the rest, going into the yin. And I see it as problematic through so many realms, including the holistic health realms, who I think still view all of those as just rest so you can get back into the game of productivity. They don't value it, or they can't see its immense value. It's very hard to describe if you haven't gone deep into these realms, but you go deep into the feminine, you go deep into death processes where you do exactly what you said. You like ask the big questions, you slow down, you start reducing the noise, you start closing the tabs in your life and on your computer, and you wait and you sit in the void of the unknown. And this is nature in action. All of nature goes into gestation. All of nature goes into gestation before the expression and before the creation, before the birthing. There has to be that dying, that descent, and the going into the gestation period. And through the gestation period, you could say our soul, our cells, our body are informed with the most aligned energy and information for the next chapter of our life. But if we don't go into that, we just stay stuck looping on the wheel of productivity. And I think this shows up in all levels of spirituality because this conditioning and the severance is so deep and ancient, the severance from the feminine. So I wanted to highlight that. I also wanted to highlight what you said about the tattoo piece. That was really amazing. But is there anything you want to respond with before I shift into that?
No, I totally agree. Like it felt like the isolation was giving me space to be initiated into the new version of myself. It really felt like a cocoon phase. And
Yeah.
like I had to die. A version of
Mm-hmm.
me had to die in order to become a different, like a more aligned version of me, with my purpose in a way. And yeah, it was a great also location to do that. No complaints.
Yeah, I've died in some really juicy spots. Like Costa Rica was my last one that I went through a big death, and it was just phenomenal. I rested so much. I ate so much. I journaled. I was with my dreams. I was messy. I was, uncomfortable and also comfortable, like just like so slow. And all the parts of me that wanted to do and were afraid that I was losing my momentum. Like that's a big one that has come up for me over and over again. This fear of losing the momentum. And but when I actually let that go, that piece go, who I am on the other side, which it happens faster and faster now because I let go quicker and quicker now. It's way better than that momentum that I was holding on to. It's way better. It births something so much better. And that's hard for our conditioned minds that see things very linear progress. Okay, I did this. Now I do this. Now I do this. Now I do
Yeah.
this. Now I do this. And if I let go, I'm going to lose all of that stacking that I just created, all of the building blocks. And spirit and the feminine works in a way it's like, cool, you built all those things. Bam. Let me knock all that to the ground and you surrender to that. And then all of a sudden you're way higher than that little tiny building that you built. You're way higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, Ashay. So I really loved what you said about the marking of a threshold. Like, wow, that word marking, because you're marking on your body, and how many people just get the tattoo and they're probably unconsciously trying to mark a threshold, but they don't have conscious intention around it. And what you said about the right intention, the right tattoo artist, like doing the time and research and connection with all of those qualities, what I thought of was like, oh, rite of passage. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah. For
So that was
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So where are we at in the story?
So, um, yeah, I mean, I really then started to also, like, if I go back to that moment of Koh Phangan, I feel um, that was my rite of passage to become then the role, like to, let's say, start living the role of the keeper or like the witnesser of the thresholds. And it then, like, the tattoo sessions then turn into more of these spaces like containers and ceremonial like rituals where it felt very true. Whereas before I was feeling quite like a machine, to be honest. Like I was tattooing 3-4 times a day. I was doing good work. It wasn't that it wasn't like it was still meaningful and like, aesthetically very much resonating pieces that I was doing. But there was the soul was missing.
This is a really important distinction for people. And as you remember going through the purpose discovery program, we work with 3 types of purpose. There's default purpose, there's created purpose, and there's soul purpose. And that created purpose is where it's a little bit more nuanced of like, oh, this isn't actually my soul calling. Because default purpose is very easy to recognize. It's like what you think of with most mainstream matrix people, just working a job they hate, corporate, hamster wheel. Like they hate their lives. Like I said, they're running on a lot of default programs.
Yeah.
Created purpose is when you start consciously making your life better. And for me, that was more health and wellness and personal training and that whole biohacking and all of that. Like, oh, it was a big threshold moment for me to start creating my life from that place and being more conscious, but it had a cap. It was like, okay, this fulfills some aspects of me. They're like little soul hints, but I'm not really in it. I'm not really doing my life's work. And so that's that's like that distinction between the created purpose and the soul purpose. And created purpose you can keep consciously figuring out with your mind. Soul purpose has to be revealed to you through the initiations, through the ceremony, through doing dream work and all of these other things. So that's what I see when you were sharing right there. Like that moment of your life was a lot of like created purpose. Like it felt good to some degree, but it wasn't quite hitting you at the deep soul level, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think when I started to when I realized that I started to channel certain like designs and images and symbols from that emptiness and like spaciousness of what wanted to come true instead of what I wanted to, create as a beautiful design. I realized that yeah, I was like tapping into something that was already there. That's not like, and it's kind of being filtered through, in a way, like my essence along like the way. But yeah, I wasn't, I guess, aware of it back then that that was happening. But that was giving me a lot of joy in all that like unknown and purposelessness, let's say, like not being productive in the way that I remember it to be. I was like, oh, this feels great that I can actually just create something for the sake of allowing something to be manifested, that wanted to be born. And then like matching and merging that's like way of creating with the people who would come to me to, let's say, have a tattoo with certain intentions, then was like a great combination that I was looking for to like give me more of the juice that I was looking for in my tattoo practice. And then eventually it like, yeah, evolved into other fields of the creations.
I was just so smitten by some of your wording there because I just pulled a card this morning when I was sitting in my little tea ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Rumi card. It's called Divine Mother Manifests.
Oh, I love Rumi. Wow, such a beautiful card.
This oracle comes to you via the sacred grace and mercy of the Divine Mother, who is the great manifesting expression of divinity. All that is created, all that is made manifest, without exception, flows from her being. This is why it is safe to trust in life.
Mm, so beautiful.
So
Yeah.
that you reclaiming your feminine and an understanding, of the role of the feminine in creation sounds like that's what was happening for you.
Yeah, definitely. I even remember like starting sketching this woman figure, like a face of a woman, all like having different pieces and parts of her features with different leaves, and like it was like a representation of Pachamama, let's say, that felt like the
Mm.
spirit of the island was like wanting to be imprinted. And that was also a beautiful way to then like start working with like a different um like way of creating something, not just like, oh, I like this, and like, oh, it will be like, getting inspiration from this and that, and then realizing like, oh, I'm actually getting inspired by the island itself and like nature itself, and this is what just it was kind of like this offering of devotion, and like wanted to birth through me as an offering to her. Yeah, I love the
Beautiful.
card. Yeah.
So good. So you're discovering that you are a midwife of thresholds for people.
Yeah, I can say that, definitely. I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
'cause
definitely see you as that.
yeah, it definitely fits. I mean, midwife is like, she's not the creator, she's just like the space holder for creation to happen in the most, um, like aligned and timing way, like in the most caring way, like not trying to force or control the crossing that of like the
Mhm.
mother and the being from one state to another, but just like helping and being completely present and caring, and like, yeah, with respect in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I've titled myself as, a soul purpose guide, and it's one of the certifications I have is purpose guide, but it's really secondary guide because the soul and spirit are the guide,
Mm,
and yeah, I really do see myself as a midwife of these threshold moments as well. Your tool is tattoo. I have some other tools, but yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So, where are we at in the story?
So, well, yeah, I mean, if you're going through, like, I graduated from Koh Phangan school, let's say, threshold of my life.
The
And then I kept
Koh Threshold Mystery School. You
mystery
graduated
school.
with honors. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it was really also the way, like, it was a full trust of what was coming next. I pulled a card when I was asking about should I leave the island and should I, like, I think two times I pulled in different times. One was like, should I leave the island? Is the good thing for me? And the second time I was asked, should I go to Mexico, Guatemala? Like that was just like the field information that was coming to me. And both times I pulled the same card, a mermaid riding an orca whale, and it says ready, set, go. And I was like, great, thank you. Like there cannot be any other better confirmation like of the mind that decides on anything. I'm like, sure, okay, let's
Yeah.
ride the orca to
Yeah.
Mexico and Guatemala. and and yeah, like it's just I'm still in that like exploration, inner and outer ways of like connecting with the spirit and how it guides me, because I feel like certain places definitely activates different things and initiates us in different ways. So for me, like connecting with Guatemala was like, just opening so many doors, synchronicities that happened that like with you, or like many more interesting, alignments. But it's always also about like taking the leap of faith. Like the way I said yes to say like, okay, this is a 6-month program, even though I feel ungrounded, I'm gonna go for it. Like you have to kind of really be also courageous to step up and like show up. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And so that chapter in Koh Phangan was during your Saturn's return during the pandemic,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
was such
It
a
was
collective threshold for.
for sure. I wasn't even aware what a Saturn return was. I only realized after I graduated. I was like, okay, wow. Like yeah, that was an intense,
It's
but like in a very beautifully held, intense, initiation.
yeah, I feel like people our age are the most enlightened because we had our Saturn's return through the biggest collective Saturn return of the pandemic. Like, literally, I don't remember what reading I got, if it was like a human design or something, but they said my Saturn return date start was like March something 2020, and it was like the same day of the shutdown. Whatever. I remember
Wow.
looking it up. I'm like, "What?"
Wow. It was my birthday. 23rd of March is my birthday. And that was the day we realized like my birthday got busted by like 15 Thai police coming up with like masks, and they were like, no, it is happening. Like you cannot do this. We're
Whoa.
like, oh, okay.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
We're stepping into the cocoon mode then. Sure.
Can you believe that happened? Like I'm still in disbelief that we went through that time.
I mean, yeah, yeah, I loved it in general. Like, I think we really needed that. It was one of the ways that we could like hear like that ring of like, hello, wake up. Can you
For
just
sure.
like be aware of what's happening, what you're doing, and question some things?
Can you question some things?
Can you
Like,
question some things about you and us and what we're doing all together in this?
in the systems, and want to not be a robot for a moment and just, yeah, be a sovereign
Yeah.
being for just a moment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it's also it's a it's a blessing, what I would say, like that I like what that threshold of Saturn return and the pandemic collective initiation moment that I spent in Koh Phangan like made me afterwards is that being that keeps on trusting life, which is a blessing when you find all those moments of synchronicities and alignments, and you're like, wow, okay, like somehow I'm doing the right thing because I get all these signs. But it's also a bit of a curse because you keep questioning. You cannot go back to not questioning, no? Like it's an interesting way to also keep on choosing to live life from that space of intentionality and like slowness, and like because the life kind of turned back to normal, like normal in many ways. And yeah, like to stay true to what I discovered in my practice still requires slowness and patience. And sometimes like it can mean less clients because it's not really reaching out to everyone that I would like to, but like it's also the reality, like it's yeah, it's part of it, I feel.
Yeah. I have so much I could say on this. Like, I just went through a phase of this, of again, noticing my old tendencies to get really excited when I have some energy and start creating like a 90-day vision with like, I'm going to release a podcast episode per week. I'm going to put on a group event once a month. I'm going to put out 6 pieces of content every week. I'm going to put out 1 newsletter every week. I'm going to like, which I did for a few weeks. And then it's really funny. The universe is waking me up through technology issues, like crazy
Mhm.
weird technology issues where like my newsletter just won't not go into people's spam.
Mm,
Podcast will just stop working. Like the tech issues you and I had, I was getting curious. I was like, huh, maybe it's not supposed to happen.
yeah.
But that's not revealing. But like it would go on and on and on, these tech issues, and I'd be back and forth with Riverside, like and nothing would work until I just surrendered. And what we were talking about before, that surrendering and the surrendering the momentum, each time I do that, I come back and the podcast is at another level of what it wants to do. I'm getting more clients by just stopping. Like I went through this period a few weeks ago of like the tech issues with the newsletter and just my body telling me is like, stop this 90-day vision. Like, just stop. That's an old paradigm.
Mhm.
And I've been so attached to that paradigm of like, I like checking off the box. I like
Mhm.
thinking that I'm making a huge difference with my hard work and that I'm figuring everything out. And that comes from my need for control. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually come from a whole place. And so this time I surrendered it quicker than I ever did and just was like, okay, I surrender. I'm just going to have long mornings to myself. I'm going to start doing my yoga practices again. I'm going to just take care of my body, and I'm not going to market this event unless I'm guided to do it. And it's so funny. This event is tomorrow and I have more people signed up for it than the last time. And
Mhm.
it's literally, I've put in about 3% of the effort. I
Mhm.
have more clients right now than I ever have before from manifestation and
Mhm.
alignment, not from hard work. Like nothing from all the social media efforts that I've been putting out or the newsletter or any of that. I believe in all of that. There will be fruits at some time. But all these clients have come in through the magical, mystical realms. Like,
Exactly.
not at all with these paradigms of the algorithm and making sure you keep showing up and output, output, output. And that's why I think the Western control programs are so deep that they go into all of the realms of spirituality and wellness as well. Because you
For
see all
sure.
of these spiritual coaches, these wellness people, they're burning themselves out and trying to use algorithms and business strategies and templates that have worked before. And it's cheesy, and everyone's outsourcing their creativity to GPT so that they can put more and more and more and more stuff out versus listening to their body, to their soul, trusting that by doing less and being more in the present moment and attuning to your own actual needs that are coming up and opportunities that are being presented in front of you that are maybe counter to all of these momentum things that you were attached to. It's actually what's called alignment. It's being in alignment, and the synchronicities show up and the right relationships and the right opportunities. And I didn't even realize, when I made this event for tomorrow, that this is what I would be quote unquote teaching on and offering an embodiment journey around. But it's literally everything I just said is like, that's what this event is. And it was revealed to me over the past few weeks. It's like, oh, I need to do this. Other people need to do this. They need to stop believing this program that we need to just keep working so fucking hard and putting more and more and more and more stuff out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially right now. I think like slowing down and coming back to intentional way of creating things. Like where is the source of your intention of creating something like this, and holding space where this is coming from is more important, and will align and attract more people than you can imagine. And it will have also like the more butterfly effect. Like it's not just like one thing. It's
Right.
something, it's like a puzzle. And I think that's something that I've been contemplating about recently, like the purpose being not like a fixed thing, but like a puzzle. And like as if these puzzle pieces are coming from like sometimes from our like past, as our like experiences and like things that we collect through some relationships, like through some events that like eureka moments of like enlightenment and like, okay, now I understand. But then we forget, and then we have to keep on collecting more pieces. And um then sometimes also these pieces can come like from future as well, in a more mysterious way, because like what happened between us, let's say, is a pure alignment and like the mystery of synchronicity. And it was part of like me figuring out and going through like needing, like not needing, but it was, I think, supportive for my growth as a creative, as an artist, to go through that period, to really like then realize certain things that I've been searching for, to be able to like embody my gifts and my skills in a much more like responsible way, instead of like feeling scattered and confused and stuck in that moment. And so I feel like it's like an ongoing puzzle that we will keep on assembling. And the more we can slow down and create those alignments with the body, mind, spirit, we can like have more of the puzzle pieces clicking in the right moment, through right relationships, right place, right event. And yeah, just like we also do need to remember, I feel, to stay in a more like childlike wonder, and at the same time like be patient like an adult. to
Ah,
to find those clicking moments, let's say.
that was a clicky moment for me. I love that meeting of the childlike wonder with the maturity of an adult
Hmm.
with the patience of a mature adult.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful meeting place for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not easy to reach, but it's important. It's something that I keep like understanding in this like ever evolving spiral that we're climbing.
May that be our blessing and our prayer for this podcast. May we all embody the awe of a child. We'll just stick with awe and the patience of an elder.
Yeah, amen.
Um, Amen, Ashe. So I'm curious about what you're doing in the current phase of your life, with your artistry and your tattoos and your your mastery. What you got for me? What's going on with you?
Okay. So what I'm doing is like it's also keep on expanding constantly.
I understand. I understand. It's like
You
constantly
know,
evolving and yeah.
constantly evolving. I find myself, I think like after the program, I realized that like I have to accept that I have this curious kid in me that's gonna stay as a student, forever student of life and different ways of creating things. And like finding ways that is meaning like that ways to create that is meaningful for me, that is interesting for me. And I sometimes feel a bit like an anthropologist, like looking into different, let's say, like symbolism across different
Oh, did you
cultures.
say okay, you said it's so funny. So I heard like entrepreneur and anthropologist. So you're the combination of those anthropologist. I can't even say
I love that.
it.
I said
All right, go.
anthropologist, but I love that combination.
Anthropologist, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
for
Cool.
sure. Yeah. So I totally like completely now in my art practice, in my tattooing, I completely like surrender to that space of basically like channeling the symbol that would hold that certain intention for that person's desires, and like receiving that trust from the person is also um in a way giving me the responsibility then to like be extremely like present and um patient and honest with the process of my creation, because something unfolds in a way that usually I don't expect, and but like surprisingly it never like s- ceases to surprise me, but like surprisingly somehow it all matches and aligns in a beautiful way that really like speaks to them, even if like it's something that they weren't also expecting. But once there's like that mutual understanding of like respect and surrender and patience and trust between two people, so this is happening between the tattoos, like between the people that I share the tattoo sessions with, but it's also happening between me and where I'm channeling from when I'm channeling symbols for just like the way I create. Let's say I create wall hangings with certain like talismans and sigils that hold certain energies and aspects that can then infuse the space that they're going to be hanged on. And yeah, it's like I try to keep on getting away from the way and keep on still investigating like where are these symbols coming from. Even like sometimes I do get inspired for like checking certain different cultures and certain symbolic languages and images to get inspired, but sometimes I completely like trust how like my own way of birthing that symbol is the way that it needs to, come true. And now I do that in also the field of garments, because I feel like
The field
the
of what?
the clothes, the garments. Like I
Oh,
started to
garments.
paint.
Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
started to paint leather jackets. Let's say like for now, like since a year and a half, with those like symbols of the person's like intentions, because I'm asking, like I'm now also creating that the same way of consulting, like coming together with the person and like, okay, asking what they would want to wear, like what they would want to embrace when they put on this jacket. And just like finding ways that I can stay curious and motivated to bring something as like that bridge maker, that, person who can hopefully like bring something from the past that is meaningful for our like future, because it feels like it's like a nearly forgotten way to do things.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't know if it makes
so excited for the day I get to work with you. Um, both with the tattoo and the clothing, I'm really curious by. Because this idea of birthing versus researching the symbols and what they mean and all of these things, it's very, very fascinating to me. And it's not something I would have necessarily been attracted to years ago. I'd been like, no, I want to know, you
Mm,
know, the ancient definitions, like, but it's something that I've shifted and actually because of the magic of like the symbolism, like it's just in the field. It's
yeah,
timeless. It gets
yeah.
channeled throughout all of time. So there's no need. I don't have that need anymore. And that one of my favorite things to do, because I don't consider myself an artist in the way that, you know, you're an artist or that Elise is an artist. I've been reflected a couple of times. One of the times on a very strong dose of mushrooms with a friend, where I was like, I am an artist. I'm like having this realization. And two different times, the person looks at me and they're like, no, you are art. Like you're just art. And I'm just like, what? And so
Oh, I
I
love it.
love I love coming together with artists and like just letting my channel open and be in collaboration with them. And I love that process you spoke to of like just trusting and surrendering, and what shows up is beyond anything. It's like always a pleasant, mystical, magical surprise. That was my experience with Elisa for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I really love that process. I love not being the one who's drawing it or doing the physical things. I love just like being in a back and forth with somebody who has that vision. And
Yeah,
I'm a really good open channel. I'm good at that. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I think like that is something very important. I feel like for me to um understand and embody like my skills as an artist wasn't easy, like to claim that, oh, I'm gifted in this way of like creating beautiful patterns and designs, or like mimicking something that I see in nature and da 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 da. And I got trained, of course, to get to a point, I think, where I'm now fully being able to like trusting the process of that channeling, because I feel like my whole background of painting, I was so interested in sacred geometry. I was creating these huge scale murals, um, like kind of decomposing the sacred geometry as if they're like suggestions of like portals and realities that we can bring into our daily life, because it's like a representation of like that moment captured in nature. So I feel, because of my background of like, okay, maybe naturally being born with these skills, but also like training myself to master the grid of that geometrical like pattern, like space, is then to come to this point where I can completely trust, like that grid is already encoded in me, and I can now like more like be brave enough to just like trust I'm collecting something that's already in the collective psyche, like where the symbols are coming from. It's already there. It's just like a remembering, and they're coming in that way of like, because I can be very also perfectionist and precise with the way I'm like doing my work, but I'm like, okay, like allowing the flow to give more life and like move through the design, or like through the placement of the body, let's say, or like the way that it like placed on a jacket, let's say, that it like mimics that intrinsic structure of the natural life, natural rhythms and patterns, that's already here, that's been like encoded by many ancient cultures, that's been like tapping into the same symbolism throughout their questioning of like meaning and life. And yeah, that's, I guess, where I'm at.
So good. Yeah. Maybe we can finish off by talking a little bit about, because I want to know more about it, the tree language, the Celtic tree code.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I saw you made this like beautiful Instagram video that was so enchanting, just like explaining it. I don't know if it was like a minute or something, but I was just like, what the fuck? And I reposted it. I was like, it just blew my mind. And I'm so interested to go through some of that with you at some point and get the tattoo. But yeah, if you want to share with us, that would be delightful.
Yeah, of course. So that is called Oham, which is, Ogham is like a Celtic alphabet, and it's one of the first, let's say, alphabets that was being like carved into rocks or trees to mark territories, or honor the dead, like like around the tombs, let's say. Um, so it was like a way for people to, again, like mark something, honor something, and or protect like a field. But then, like, the way I connected with that alphabet is obviously when I was living in Dublin, because I started doing the tattoos of Oam by just like translating certain words, certain names that people wanted to tattoo, but it's like a cooler way to put it on,
It's way,
put it
it's way,
as an image.
yeah, it's way
Because
cooler.
it's, yeah, it's like a secret code. It's basically just like a big vertical line with like smaller horizontal lines that's representing different letters in different combinations. But then recently, because I wanted to, I don't know, for some reason I wanted to reconnect with that and like offer it to the people that are still following me on Instagram, like from the time that I lived in Dublin, and like offer that as something that I can, channel for them, that they can have it as a digital design that, can be then tattooed by another tattoo artist, or they can just hang it in their altar and like use the energy of what it means. So when I started to work on this idea, I realized that there's way more into it than just them being like those uh, strokes being letters. So they each represent a tree. So each letter, because the Celts are basically like one of the oldest druids, and like the druids of that, let's say, culture, were so in touch with the natural rhythms and ways of marking, I feel, the spirit into the matter. Like they realize that, okay, every letter is connected to a tree, and they created this also cosmological, like a astrological map that would then, you know, connect to different times of the of our calendar, where they were like celebrating springtime, or like the transitions of the natural rhythms.
And so when you
And
say every letter is connected to a tree, do you mean like a type of tree or like one
yes,
specific tree?
yeah, type of tree. Let's say like
A
the
type of tree.
letter, yeah, like I'm making this up, but like let's say that the A letter is connected to the oak tree, which
Right.
represents like the wisdom and like yeah, that like ancient knowledge. And the birch is connected to B, which represents the beginning of the new life, because it is birthed around that time. Like so they knew
Okay.
like they were so in touch, I think, with the intelligence of like nature, that was always like speaking with them through images, through like however they were receiving this information. They were able to connect and like create this system. So it's more like a visual system than just an alphabet.
Mhm.
And so when I realized that connection, then I decided to create a way to connect people's, like each letter of your name then represents a tree. And so I wanted to create like this kind of like, when you receive a human design report or like an astrological, chart, you get a lot of like different aspects of the planets, and you can like realize, oh, there's a resemblance, like I can resonate with certain aspects of this planet because it's also, in my chart. And I am now like suggesting that for each letter of your name, or maybe you want to give it as a gift to someone. But I feel it's like a very beautiful way to then reconnect to the qualities of those trees, to the wisdom of those trees, wherever you are. Maybe you're living in a city, but you can then, read through, or I also even made like a guided meditation where you meet your tree grove, and we all have a birth tree that is connected to our birth date as well. And yeah, I made up this whole journey of like an underworld journey, like that you go through your birth tree to this world where you meet your tree grove, and you feel held, and you feel like all their, qualities can be received and like embodied by just being in their presence. And yeah, you can like basically charge yourself with this meeting whenever you need a bit of grounding, a bit of like, belonging and like being held wherever you are. So that's been the discovery
So
and
cool.
invention and remembering that I channeled through the last bit of that exploration.
Wow. That sounds so lovely. I'm definitely gonna very shortly invest in that. Um, would you be interested in giving like a 10% discount code to my listeners? Like SBW podcast.
For sure, of course.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. For anyone listening who has not experienced anything underworld journeying related, and your experience of guided meditations are more, you're like focusing on relaxing and um, cultivating your focus and attention and awareness. It's very different. And again, it's sort of a severed part of our experience, even in the spiritual realms in the West, is this underworld, which has really been, because it's so associated with the feminine,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I don't believe it's a fully feminine thing. It's just, there's a lot of associations of it being feminine. It gets associated with hell, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of religious programming around it, but it's literally the portal to your power. It's the portal to your gifts. It's the portal to the deepest essence of who you are, your deepest authenticity, and pretty much you could say the action steps, but it's really more of the grand vision of what you're here to do.
Yeah.
And every time you go in, it's like recharging yourself with your soul, with your essence. And it's mythopoetic, it's ancient, future, timeless. It's very nature, earth connected, So, um, yeah, I love that you have that offering, that guided journey. I'm very excited to
Yeah.
take advantage of that, and I highly encourage others to do the same. And yeah, I've had such a very deep connection with trees since going through um, my journey with the Purpose Discovery Program when I was in India. It was like the major vision that came to me during my day out on the land. It's like the tree of life, and
Mm-hmm.
how that tree is my soul. And then there's these little details within that tree that are constantly revealing new and imaginative qualities to who I am and what I'm here to do. There's so much connected to this tree. And I've been through a whole phase over this past winter of like giving up learning from humans. Like I know I needed to purify and learn some deep techniques with energy cultivation, like how to go
Mm-hmm.
within and cultivate my energy and move it to different places. And I got the message over and over again to go learn from the trees. And so
Wow.
I would be around these trees a lot, and I would also just meditate on the vision of trees, and I also feel myself and my essence as a tree. And it's hard to describe, impossible to describe, but that's been more life-giving and generative for what I'm here to do than studying anything that a human has ever said.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I love it. I feel you're gonna connect with all your trees and your tree grow and also through the meditation very well because like for me, to be honest, meditation is like the visualization and like doing those kind of journeys, even if it's just like a 10-minute one, it works way deeper than
Mhm.
I can sit and like just meditate on my own. Like it's just not. I think it's working in a way more deeper way because it really brings us to that dream state space to our psyche where actually um all the things are happening, all the time, that we're not just like being aware in our waking life, but we are, I don't know how much percent of our subconscious, ways of being and acting in our lives. So to connect to that that world is very much of that, like, oh, like this is where I can get information from the real source of my psyche, the collective psyche, the psyche of the nature, the trees that are just like the wisdom keepers also. Like they just hold the earth together. They are why we're alive, the reason that we're alive. So yeah,
So
they're
good.
important.
Well said. I could go on and on about this, and I feel, yeah, you're going to come back on the podcast. So I feel a sense of completion. Before that, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I feel very charged and like, yeah, um, pretty much complete also to everything that we touched.
So cool. Is there anything you'd like to share offer wise? I'm going to put, your Instagram and any links you share with me in the show notes, but I mean, you have a great Instagram, so I recommend
Thank you.
listeners to give her a follow.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
like I can just remind whoever would be interested in working with me that I can offer, like I do offer custom talismans or sigils that you can receive as a tattoo. Like maybe you've been wanting to work with someone who works in this way, in this a bit more like intentional and ceremonial way. And I have a lot of people reaching out to me from different parts of the world where it can be painful to say no to. And like throughout the years, I started to work with them from distance, and still we go through the same process of collecting, their intentions in a one-to-one container if they want to do that, like, together, or they can fill the form in their own time where I collect all the information necessary juice of their intentions and desires about like what kind of threshold that they're going through in their life. And then I tune into those in my own time and space. And like 1 or 2 weeks, I put together the design. And then it's like obviously open to changing like a couple of times if they need to do small adjustments. And then they can receive it from another tattoo artist in wherever they are. Like I also help them to suggest some nice fine line tattoo artists that I find in their region or that I already know. So that works like because it's really, it works beyond just being in the, like, of course, obviously it's so beautiful to be able to hold space in the physical. But I feel because I'm, working in such a level of like devotion to this practice, the ceremony for me starts from the moment I receive their intentions, and for them to actually clarify, bring together, that I like tune in, channel the design itself. That's already a seal that they can, etch to their beautiful body. Or like if they don't feel ready, they can really just print it and put it in their altar and like work with its energy and like subconsciously just allow its work to manifest in their life. So that's just something available for people who might want to connect from different parts of the world with me.
amazing. And you're a nomadic traveling woman, so maybe you'll meet up with them. Maybe if
Yeah,
the
for
the
sure.
alignment
Like
is right, it'll just
I'm
happen.
Yeah, like I'm coming to New York for June, July, maybe August as well. And yeah, like sometimes I just receive people, like alignment happens in such beautiful, magical ways that we get to meet in person, and like we create a whole day of the ceremony. Um, and then most probably I'll be back in Mexico, like have a base, um, half base, let's say, for some time in Mexico. So I'll be in that part of the world mostly.
Beautiful. All right. Well, this has been such a juicy conversation. Definitely one of my favorites. Thank you so much for doing this dance with me. Thank you so much, dear listeners. And yeah, have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the universe. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me on the Soul Body Wholeness podcast. If you like this episode, you can support the journey by rating and subscribing wherever you listen. I invite you to follow me on Instagram at Soul Body Wholeness for more insights and to stay up to date with my current offerings. And if you feel called to work with me directly, I invite you to visit my website at www.soulbodywholeness.life. I offer somatic alchemy sessions and soul purpose initiation journeys that awaken your inner healer, reconnect you to your innate wholeness, and ignite your soul's deepest purpose. I invite you to carry this resonance with you as you move throughout your day and return anytime you need a reminder of your courage, your wholeness, and your light. Blessings, old friend.